my name is Julia, and I'm going to be an incoming first-year medical student in August. And I decided I wanted to make a YouTube channel to kind of document my journey from like medical school through residency and like into my career as a doctor. It's going to be a little bit unique for me this year because I'm starting medical school during the coronavirus pandemic, and some of my interviews were actually after the pandemic had started. So I wanted to film a video today talking about how that changed both my part that I had experienced of the application process and the interview process, and how that's affecting like our school year and how we're starting as M1s. I applied in 2019 to enter in 2020, and so the whole fall semester, which is like a big chunk of the interview time and all of the written application time, was before the pandemic. But I actually had one interview that lingered right around the time the pandemic started in the middle of March, and was actually moved to a virtual interview. So I can talk more in detail about this in a different video, but I actually got to do a virtual medical school interview, and I think there are advantages to it, but I think there are also disadvantages to it. It was definitely a lot different than what I had experienced in my in-person interviews. I interviewed at other schools in person and really enjoyed the experience of getting to be at the school, and I feel like I missed that doing it online. But at the same time, it was really nice to be able to interview from the comfort of my home and, you know, kind of be able to prepare in a different way. And I actually was accepted to the school that I interviewed at virtually. I do think that it will make it a little bit more difficult for me transitioning into medical school because I actually haven't visited the school in person and haven't met anybody. So that's going to be really interesting. I don't know where anything is at the medical school. We were given kind of a virtual tour, but especially because it was at the beginning of the pandemic, no one was really prepared to do it online. So it was a really interesting experience. And I've kind of had to meet everybody that's going to be in my class online. So there's a lot of surprises, and I think it's going to be really interesting to transition into medical school, not having the experiences that I would have had if I had interviewed in person. Yeah, I felt like the interview was more difficult for me in that, first of all, I had technical difficulties that I had to deal with. My first interview, I actually couldn't see my interviewer, and never really had the opportunity to tell the interviewer that I couldn't see them. It was supposed to be on a Zoom call, which is, you know, really interesting because it probably would have been an advantage to me to have told this interviewer that I couldn't see them, but at the same time it would have been rude to interrupt, and I felt like I was just trying to keep the interview going as smoothly as possible. And I think you miss out on so much body language and like other types of communication that you get in an in-person interview. So I felt like I had to work a lot harder to like make my personality come across to my interviewers. The second one went fairly normally, but again, I feel like it's just a different experience because you're missing all the environmental cues and you just kind of have a person in a box. So that was something that if I were to be applying this cycle, I definitely would spend a lot of time practicing talking with people in an interview style over Skype or Zoom as opposed to the in-person format. Other than that, all of my prep for the interviews are the same. I did the same kind of research. I actually did write down some notes, which was kind of nice, and I wrote down notes during the presentations, and it was less awkward to look at them than I felt like it was in person. And I was able to kind of like organize my thoughts in advance for the interview questions, which was nice. So I was accepted to the medical school that I'm going to be attending on May 1st. So very good ways into the pandemic, and decided that's the school I was going to attend. But I already knew that things were going to be different at that point. It was very clear that everything wasn't just going to be gone. The first part of it was just kind of strange. I felt like, you know, I was lacking a lot of communication from everybody because nobody knew what was going on. And it didn't really feel as real as I think it would have if everything was normal. Had everything been normal, I would have, you know, gone out and celebrated with my friends, but that wasn't really something that was possible. It was just kind of sit at home and eat takeout and be excited kind of thing, which was still cool. But it's taken longer for me to adjust to the fact that I'll be going to medical school and like this is where I'm going. So that's been really interesting for me. And now it's July and I'm starting to work on getting all my paperwork and my badges and everything ready to attend medical school. But again, I don't really know anyone, so we have GroupMe's and we have a Facebook page, but I think it's a lot different than having that like recognition of people that you meet during your interview day, which has been a little bit more anxiety provoking for me. And I don't really know a lot about where everything's gonna be when I get there and who's who, and like I just feel like I'm missing some details about the school that I'm gonna have to learn more as I go than I would have if I had interviewed in person. Similarly, our orientation's entirely online. This is another thing I'm really bummed about because like I said, I've never even toured this school in person, so I think it's gonna be really strange to not be going to the medical school for orientation. Everything's gonna be online, and I'm really gonna have to feel things out as I go as far as where everything is located and how everything works in person, because everything is so different virtually. I know I'll have to go there for a couple different things throughout the week, but for the most part, yeah, everything's gonna be done online. So that's something I don't really know a lot of details about, but I do know that all of our presentations and everything, getting to know people, is gonna be done virtually, not in person. And then classes similarly are also going to be online for us, at least at the beginning. So, and I don't know how different this really is, because I know that most of the time medical students have the option to stream lectures or watch pre-recorded lectures. And with my learning style, I really think I can benefit from watching lectures at home. That's how I studied for my MCAT. I did all of the online prep and really feel like I can get things done efficiently that way. I don't think that's going to be a big change for me. And then I think we will still go in for some small group stuff and for anatomy, but they really haven't released a whole lot on that front either. And I think a lot of it's just going to be kind of rolling with things and seeing how they happen. But yeah, I'm essentially starting online medical school in about a month, and I'm very excited and very nervous and just kind of interested to see how this will play out and how it will affect me as a doctor in the future. We're starting in such a unique position that it's going to be so different than anybody else who's done medicine before. It's going to be a really interesting environment, but also I'm just thrilled that I was accepted and I have the opportunity to go to med school. So I'm planning to be vlogging all of this. I just kind of want to document my journey for myself and for other people, because I know I'm a very traditional med student as far as that goes. I went straight through from undergrad, but I thought it was so helpful when I was an undergrad student or a high school student to be able to watch other people and figure out how this works and get advice from other people. And I want to be able to do that for people who are in my position as well. So definitely look out for some vlogs coming up of me doing all the prep stuff, from doctor's appointments to ID badges and everything in between. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to sharing this crazy journey with you. Bye.